Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Bulls fans, rejoice. This is what we have been waiting for like 4 or 5 years now. Yesterday, the Chicago Bulls announced a sign and trade deal for DeMar DeRozan. We'll talk about the details here in a second, but man, I mean, guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. I remember when I was a senior in high school and the Chicago Bulls made a move in the offseason. And my mind was so blown that during the Garpax era, the Chicago Bulls actually made a move in the offseason. They signed Rajon Rondo. They signed Dwayne Wade. I thought that was the greatest day of my entire life as a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. It's the best thing I've heard in my entire life. And then the last 2 days happened. AK has done a phenomenal job. He basically gets Lonzo Ball for nothing, pays him $21 million a year. I don't see in any way, shape, or form how that's an overpay. I just honestly, I do not understand how people think Lonzo Ball wasn't overpaid, because the way I see it, $21 million a year, absolute steal. The salary cap is moving up. Luke Kennard gets $16 million a year, right? Luke Kennard makes $16 million a year. Some people wanted Lonzo to make $16 a year. I think Lonzo Ball is significantly better, has much better potential than a guy like Luke Kennard. However, they weren't done. They go out, they make probably, in my opinion, and this is kind of biased, the most underrated signing of the entire offseason. I think this Alex Caruso will go down as one of the most underrated signings of Bulls' recent memory. 4 years, $36 million contract, only $9 million a year. That's what his price range was, so we didn't overpay for Alex Caruso. But I gotta say, that was my first just, oh my God moment. Lonzo Ball was pretty crazy, but they had the hype building for that a while. I actually had made a video and published it as I made a rumor update video on the Bulls signing Lonzo Ball as he got signed. So I checked Twitter and I'm like, oh my God, he got signed to the Bulls. So I got to delete that and make a new one. Alex Caruso is exactly what the Chicago Bulls needed. He is exactly what they needed. And I'm shocked he left LA. That was the first moment of the day where it was free agency, and I was like, are you serious? That is crazy. I was recording my podcast, and I had to say something as soon as I saw it. I was like, oh my God, they got Alex Caruso. He is a elite wing defender. He can hold his own on offense. And I think now that he's finally not in LA, I think he's finally not going to be hated on. I think he will actually turn his reputation around just because he's not in LA. He's not with LeBron James anymore. He's only 27 years old. He's a solid enough three-point shooter. He can play make a little bit. He can guard. He is just the perfect backup guard for Lonzo Ball. And this is a player who, depending on matchups, he could hop into, he could play with the starters several different rotations. This is a guy you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is going to do every single small thing. Every single small thing. He's like Draymond Green and PJ Tucker, but in a, very small body. Or in a much smaller body. He's not a very small, but in a much smaller body. And then yesterday, they go out, they get DeMar DeRozan in a sign and trade. And some of the players that we gave up, like Tomas Satoransky in the Lonzo Ball trade, Thaddeus Young is tough. We got rid of Al-Farouq Aminu. We got rid of his contract. They have made a lot of good moves. And most recently, they signed Tony Bradley to a 1-year minimum contract. And I still don't think the Bulls are done yet. I think they'll make another signing like the Tony Bradley one. But Tony Bradley, that's going to be an underrated signing as well. I don't think he's going to make a huge impact. In fact, I kind of want him to get more big man depth. But that was the clear... after losing Tice to the Houston Rockets, which was, that one stings a lot too, because he does all the dirty, he does all the grunt work as well. That was tough. Lost Laurie, or technically Laurie, we'll talk about Laurie in a minute here, but Laurie's technically still under our jurisdiction, I guess, which is good for value. But as far as, we just lost 2 big men. So now we got Vucevic and we got Tony Bradley. I still think we need to get another big man. Now, next season, the starting lineup, I think no matter who they get at that 4 spot, I don't think that they'll actually be able to find a replacement at the 4 to pair him next to Nikola Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? Like a big name, like a John Collins. Obviously not a John Collins, but like kind of like a big name like that some Bulls fans may be expecting, like a quality all-star power forward starter. I don't think you'll be finding that because I think the Bulls will be intrigued at putting DeMar DeRozan at the 4. What I mean by that is the starting lineup next year will most likely consist of Lonzo Ball at 1, Zach LaVine at 2, Patrick Williams and his elite defense at 3, DeMar DeRozan, who played power forward for the Spurs, at 4, and then 5, Nikola Vucevic, and then your bench consists of, hopefully, Alex Caruso, Kobe White, Tony Bradley, those guys. But I want Patrick Williams. I think myself included, and the Chicago Bulls are putting a ton of trust and faith and confidence in Patrick Williams' ability to take the next step this season, because last year they put him on some really crazy defensive assignments that he probably was not 100%, I don't want to say ready for it, because mentally he's probably ready to guard guys like LeBron and Giannis and stuff, but physically, at his age, being the youngest player, or was he the second youngest player in last year's draft class, probably not physically ready to hold the bearing of that every single night. This year, hopefully he's been hitting the weight room, hopefully he's been hitting the gym, all that stuff, putting up shots. Hopefully he'll take more than 2 threes a game, because he was knocking them at a good rate. He can shoot the 3 ball, and that's what the Bulls are looking for as well. DeMar DeRozan, he takes 8 free throws a game. That was a big weakness that the Bulls had in the offseason that they wanted to address, was just kind of the lack of getting to the free throw line outside of Zach LaVine. Now the Chicago Bulls you've got 3 players on your team who can drop 30 on any given night. Honestly, you have 3 players on your team who can drop 40 on any given night. I really like the DeMar DeRozan pickup. Some people think we overpaid. We might have overpaid. What is it, $28 million a year? It is a slight overpay. But to get a guy like DeMar DeRozan, it's the first step. Us Bulls fans, or I shouldn't speak for all Bulls fans, but me as a Bulls fan, we haven't been good in like 4 or 5 years. We haven't been good since Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade, and we weren't even good with those 2 players. We just made the 8 seed playoffs, and Rajon Rondo almost single-handedly took down the number 1 seed Boston Celtics with Isaiah Thomas, but then he got hurt. And I'll say it to the end of the time, but if he doesn't get hurt, the Bulls advance, and who knows what happens. So this Bulls team, it's coming together. They've just got to fill out the pieces. DeMar DeRozan, to me, slight overpay, but it's just something that they needed to do. It's something they needed to do. They are now a good basketball team. I think the highest I've seen the Bulls be projected this next season is like the 4 seed, maybe the 5 seed. They'll definitely make the playoffs. Even if there's some tough, annoying injuries or some tough COVID cases, the Bulls should still find a way to make the playoffs, especially considering the play-in tournament is happening, so the top 10 will technically, you'll have a chance if you're in between 8 and 10. What's tricky about the Bulls is the defensive proponent, but now you have Lonzo Ball, who's going to be able to guard the opposing team's best guard, right? That's the best part about Lonzo Ball, is his defensive presence. Zach LaVine, for the past 3 years, has been guarding on ball. Zach LaVine's not even a bad on-ball defender. He's not that good off-ball, but he's a solid on-ball defender. He's had to guard the opposing team's best guard the last 2 seasons, or the last 3 seasons. And he's doing that. He's guarding their best player, their best guard, and managing to drop 27 every single night. It's super impressive. I don't think the Bulls might not even be ready for what Zach LaVine's about to morph into. Plus, he's getting this Olympic experience. I honestly think Zach LaVine is going to be a several-time All-Star. This guy is a stud. He might come out next season and still drop 30, even with Lonzo, Vucevic, and DeRozan all on the team. Now, for the Bulls moving forward, I'll try and wrap it up here. I think, like I said, another big man, and I think we need another wing defender. I can't think of any wing defenders right now. Maybe a guy like Avery Bradley wouldn't even be the end of the world. Just the issue is the Chicago Bulls do have a bunch of guards now. And I do want to talk about Coby White and Lauri Markkanen before I end the video. Because Lauri Markkanen's gone. You know, Lauri's not coming back for $9 million next season. A team will offer Lauri. We're only in day 3 of free agency. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of days left. Somebody will offer Lauri Markkanen a contract, and the Chicago Bulls will then try and negotiate a sign and... Sorry, I just hiccuped. Then the Bulls will try and negotiate a sign and trade. As far as what are we going to get back, you know, nothing. It's not going to be anything crazy, I don't think. You know, it's not as good as... We're on the opposite side, right? When we traded for Lonzo Ball and we gave up, like, what was it, Satoransky and Garrett Temple, Pelican fans were pissed. They're like, we had to absorb Satoransky's contract and Garrett Temple's contract to trade Lonzo Ball. Like, what value did we get back in this trade? I know a couple of Pelican fans, and they were pissed after the Lonzo Ball trade because he was a restricted free agent. They could have just gave him another offer. They could have matched his offer sheet, brought him back to New Orleans. But instead, they got Tomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple for some reason that they're, you know, looking at. But you catch my drift. The Spurs, DeMar DeRozan. We gave up a package. We gave him Thaddeus Young. Who was the other player in that trade? Damn. Al-Farouq Aminu and a first-round pick. We're giving up first-round picks like it's nothing, which I'm a fan of. I'm not curious about the draft anymore. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to make the playoffs. We can worry about draft picks later. But I'm just trying to get to the point that I don't think Lauri Markkanen's signed. You know, I don't think we're going to get crazy amount of value. I think we should be able to get a good either young piece or a veteran piece or a good defender or a good three-point shooter. Somebody who's probably got a specific skill set is what I'm trying to get at. As far as Coby White goes, it's super tough because I love the idea of Coby White at 2. I absolutely love the idea of Coby White at 2 because to me, it's just like, it's perfect because we got Alex Caruso, so he can guard the best bench defender, best bench guy on offense. So if we're playing maybe the Utah Jazz, Alex Caruso is going to guard Jordan Clarkson instead of Coby White guarding Jordan Clarkson, giving up 30 points a game. Coby White being a good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, being a good catch-and-shooter, being a good just scorer, I think he would succeed at the 2 position. However, I know that the Bulls are trying to win basketball games, and they are trying to win now. Coby White's got a tough injury, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded at one point. But he might be safe for this offseason. He might be safe at this offseason. You might hear his name at some point at the trade deadline if it's not working. Although, what I'm saying is, I think a hot take because a lot of Bulls fans, a lot of Bulls YouTubers, a lot of just media people think that Coby White will be traded here in the next couple of days. So, anyways, guys, that is it for today. I'm going to rate the Chicago Bulls offseason at a flat A. I think they've done a phenomenal job. Give them a 9 out of 10. Go ahead and give me your Chicago Bulls rating down below, but most importantly, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Appreciate it.